All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Pearl. I'm a student veteran at Syracuse University, currently studying communication rhetorical studies, and I'm a junior. I have Will with me here today. He's a fellow student veteran as well. And today we're just going to be talking about transitioning from military to civilian life and what it's like being a student veteran. So, before we get started, Will, I just want to introduce yourself real quick. What you're studying, where you're from, what you did in the military, just stuff like that. It's just something brief.
Okay, cool. My name's Will. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Oswego, New York, which is about 45 minutes north of Syracuse. I've been in the Army about 10 years now. 6 of those years were active. I'm in the National Guard right now. I'm studying psychology at Syracuse University.
All right, cool. All right. So transitioning from military to civilian, a lot of veterans, a lot of active duty service members and National Guardsmen, they always talk about, getting out of the military to civilian life is hard. How has that transition been for you?
It's been okay. I had a good support system when I got out of the military, so I didn't feel like I was, out in the cold trying to figure out the way to be a normal human. Um, it wasn't bad. I would say that the Army's SFL TAP process or the ACAP process is kind of like drinking through a fire hose where they just blast you with all the information they think is important, but you don't really retain a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you sign out that last time from your base, and then it's just on you at that point.
Yeah, it's scary because you have this big safety net. You have your housing's taken care of, your food for majority of the part, and all your benefits, your pay is just kind of going away, and it's scary doing that transition. All right, so next question: how has the SVO? So the SVO is a student veteran organization. For those who don't know, how has the SVO been to you and other veterans at Syracuse University?
I would say pretty good. It gives everyone a common place to go, like-minded people and people with military experience, been in the military. People with maybe a similar sense of humor, similar morals, similar interests. And it kind of gives everyone a common place to get together and just kind of like be a part of the veteran community.
Hmm.
So it's like a piece of you that you felt like you left behind in the military. And it's there in the SVO, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually where I met you. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, it's a good place for us
Yeah.
veterans to meet. Um, Next question. Can you relate to the other student veterans as well?
On some things, yes, on other things, no. Everyone's experience in the military varies. Some people have a less than savory taste in their mouth after getting out. Some people wish they were still in. People in different branches, people with different experiences while they're in the military, people who have, been overseas like you and I have, versus people who might not have been. So, experiences vary, and I guess being able to relate to people is kind of like an individual skill where not everybody has it.
Hmm. All right. Next question. Can you relate to traditional students well? I mean, a lot of these kids at Syracuse University are 18 to 22, and maybe they had a family member in the military, but it can be hard relating to those students. How have you been able to get along with them if you've attempted to do that?
I want to say I kind of tried to, but there's just so much different, I'm a lot older. Um, I've got different goals at this stage of my life.
Hmm.
Um, I can't recover after drinking as quickly as these kids can,
Yeah.
I'm hungover for days, not hours. But it's okay. I have met a few people who were traditional students that are pretty cool.
Hmm.
Get along with them. I text with them from time to time. Haven't really hung out with any traditional students, so can't say that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely weird. We're always the old guys in class,
Yeah,
and it's like, how old are you? It's like, hey, don't worry about it, man.
yeah. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. All right. Do you feel veterans bring something different to the table in a work environment?
Absolutely. perspective. I mean, it's like we live a whole different life before we even get to college, and we bring all of our experiences, all of our beliefs and attitudes, and all that piece of us we bring to the table. I mean, military indoctrinates you to be like punctual, disciplined, you know, to complete the mission, and I mean we bring that to the table. Leadership, for those of us who've made it to NCO ranks, you learn a lot of stuff from being in the military, and it's good to bring to the table.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you that don't know, an NCO is a non-commissioned officer. You start out as a private and you work your way up in the ranks, and you're a sergeant, you're a staff sergeant, and you have uh, soldiers or sailors under you. So in case you did not know that. Uh, did you try to go to college right out of high school?
I actually did. I went to Cayuga Community College for about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't work out. I did all online schools. I tried to work 2 jobs, and I tried to go to college all online full time at the same time. And 18-year-old me just did not have the capacity to do that.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I meet a lot of veterans who go to community college or maybe university right out of high school, and it's just the drive really isn't there. And when you get out of the military, it's completely different because you're a different person.
Absolutely.
Following off of that, um, well, you kind of answered this already, but would you say it's easier going to school now versus when you're an 18-year-old kid?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have like that discipline, you have that purpose, you're given a task from your professors, your TAs, and you just want to knock it out versus you're 18, you just don't really care. It's just kind of everyone wants to go to college because it's just the thing to do when you get out of high school, and you just don't really nobody's telling you what to do. It's just a choice to be there versus
I
high
agree
school.
100%. I
Yeah,
mean, 18 years old, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just wanted to go to
exactly.
college because it's what everyone else is doing. So that's 100% on point.
Yeah. Um, all right. So many jobs in the military are combat oriented. So many veterans are scared to get out because the skills they have attained won't apply to a job. What would you say to those veterans getting out?
I mean, you and I are that veteran, right? You're an
Yeah.
infantryman. I'm a forward observer. I think we're doing fantastic. I think a lot of the things we learned fundamentally, basic soldier skills still transitioned over, right? Like, I'm sure you're not doing battle drills, in your career wherever you go. I'm not going to, do any call for fire missions or fire support plans, but I mean, the fundamental things we learned absolutely transition over. So even if our job doesn't directly translate to something, our basic soldier skills absolutely will.
Yeah. And going back to that, like, I meet a lot of, servicemen and women who get out and they're like, oh, I'm just going to be a cop or whatever. And it's just like, like there's so much more you can learn from it. You're disciplined. You learn values from the branch you're in. You learned how to be a leader. You learned how to be a follower. You learned to have a different moral compass and different ethics. And you can apply that to anywhere, any walk of life, whether you're a student at Syracuse University or a future career job someday, So it's not always about the your job set, but like the just the morals and ethics to it. So
Absolutely.
I think that's something they don't really teach you in the military. You just kind of learn it yourself, and you learn to apply that.
Absolutely.
Um, when getting out of the army, did your leadership keep bothering you about staying in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They tried everything to get me to stay in. I mean, they threw, bonuses at me. They dangled another deployment in front of me. They knew I really wanted to go. They asked me all the time if I would stay in, but I mean, ultimately, I had to make the best decision for me at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Probably almost every veteran can relate to that.
Yeah,
It gets annoying, but you really have to dig down and think about what you want best for yourself, and not only for yourself, but for the people that are in your life that are going to be in your life, and how you can make the organization you're going to be a part of better someday.
absolutely.
Um, did you feel like your leadership did this because you felt that they themselves could not cope in the civilian world?
No, I think that a lot of the pressure that they were putting on me was pressure that was put on them to retain people. I think it was a lot of it was just like a retention thing. I don't think they were projecting any kind of psychological deficiency for civilian life on me. But I also think some of them, were my friends. I developed close friendships while I was there at my unit. My friends didn't want to see me go, even though I was going to be 2 hours away. So I think it was half of it was retention, maybe half of it was, not ready to say goodbye to your friend yet.
Yeah. I mean, some of your leaders when you're getting out have been in for so long, and it's been the majority of their life has been in the military, and it's just like you kind of feel like that's all they know, and it's just like no, like what I've learned from you as far as being a better person and being the very best version of myself, I can apply that to the civilian world, and I can better serve my country by being with civilians and showing them what it means to be a better student, a better person at whatever job you get someday.
Absolutely.
Um, so what kind of message do you think leaders should send to a serviceman or woman getting out?
Staying in isn't the only option. Stay in because you want to. Stay in because that's what fulfills you. Don't stay in because I'm hounding you to stay in. Don't stay in because I'm pressuring you, or I'm telling you that this is the only thing that you've got going for you. Stay in because you want to. Half of the kids that stay in the military because they're pressured and I'm not, turning out too good. But if people who are motivated to stay in and dedicated to that lifestyle, then go for it. But there's other options. I think that would be a good message that leaders could probably tell their guys. Stop
Yeah.
focusing on retaining soldiers who don't want to be retained.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, servicemen and women, they feel that pressure to stay in and then they reenlist and then a couple months down the road they're like, dude, what did I do? They're
Buyer's
absolutely
remorse.
miserable.
Yeah.
And then they went from this motivated soldier or sailor or whatever to just some turd, and it's affecting
Yeah.
morale. It's affecting the morale of the unit, and they
Yeah.
get in trouble, they get a DUI or something like that, and then they get out of the military and then they're just this turd again.
Yeah.
And civilians get this idea that people in the military are just these turds, they're just like,
Yeah.
they just complain and stuff, and it's because they felt that pressure to stay in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Lost that morale. I got one more question for you. What advice would you give to new student veterans? Like, let's say, you know, if coronavirus didn't happen and we got to meet up, a week before school, like we did last year, hey, like, hey, you're welcome to Syracuse University. Here are some things to look out for. What would you tell those new students?
It's going to be frustrating. You're going to learn a lot of stuff, especially if you didn't start at a community college and you went right to Syracuse University. There's going to be a bit of a culture shock, but, trust the process. Don't quit. As per whatever military branch they were in. The universal truth in all military branches is never quit. Um, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I need some help with this." Don't be afraid to do that. It's not the military. You're not in the military anymore. No one's gonna shame you. No one's gonna make you feel stupid for asking questions. If you don't know where to go on campus, if you don't know how to register for classes, if you know how to do stuff, just ask. That's the only reason I am where I am right now, is because I was not afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, that's definitely something that was I can't think of the word. It's something that I struggle with being in the military, was not asking questions to my leadership and just being lost and then getting yelled at because I was just scared to ask, and then
Yeah,
once I got over that fear, you get out, you ask your professor a question, you ask another student a question, like, hey, where's Carnegie Hall? Where's this? Where's that? And it's just like, it shows that you have desire to learn and you want to get that A in the class, you want to get your degree and be a part of a career and whatnot.
yeah, absolutely.
um so that was my last question for you. Do you have any questions for me, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think it was a pretty good interview. It focused on some stuff that needed to be talked about. Hopefully, the people who watch us get something out of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you, Will. You have a good rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you around, buddy.
You too. I'll see you later.
Yeah, see ya.